this time for real. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Greetings, mortal. That's kind of frightening.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 94 of Lords of the Storm, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, Greg Parker, a.k.a. Gizmo Zord, but you can call me Gizmo. And on this week's episode, by fire, as Ragnaros has entered the Nexus. Winter Veil is here. We have our 8 North American teams for the Heroes Global Championship 2017, and of course the patch coming along with Ragnaros. But of course, joining me this evening is another Zord Lord. It's Mr. Kevin Ellis, aka Multi-Zord. Multi, how are you doing tonight?
Doing quite well, though. You know what? It's odd not having TBK here. I know he's hanging out, hiding in the chat, but he is on vacation, and it's weird. It's been a long time since it's just been the two of us. I'm cool with it, but
yeah,
it's been a bit.
I think the last time was whenever TBK was in Arizona, which is where he currently is. And last time out there, he got to visit good Sir Another Notch, who
that's right.
is doing wonderful things in the Paragon community. So always good to see our old friends doing well. But yeah, he is having a good time. He was commenting on how the weather was nice. The weather's nice here as well. TBK, just in case you were wondering. Maybe not in Kansas City.
It's not nice here, if you were wondering.
Did it snow?
Cold. We had a little dusting, actually. It went away pretty much the same day, but cold enough to do it, if it would, for sure.
I dusted somebody today. Different type, though. So, what...
Like with feather duster? Or
no, crop dust.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's what have you been up to in gaming this week so far?
I've been playing some Hearthstone because, I got to this month and I was originally thinking to myself, maybe, with the holidays rolling around, 5-day weekend coming up over the actual Christmas weekend, that maybe I'd have some time to push some games and maybe even try for Legend in Hearthstone this month. And then the Heroes team came along and they were like, hey, you know what? Instead, we've got this other plan for you, and we're going to release Ragnaros into the Nexus. And that's just, I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to put a stop to that plan because I have to get in there and play him. I know we'll talk about it a little bit, but so pumped that he's finally here.
Yeah.
So
it really is. I hadn't played him in the PTR, so I haven't touched him since BlizzCon, and I was able to get in a little bit today, get a few games with him. Not as much as I would have liked before tonight's show because the patch was delayed a day,
right.
Which was interesting.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, okay, today we're recording this on Wednesday. It came out today. It's typically a Tuesday thing. And my theory is that Blizzard wanted to release it on Tuesday, but then they, thought about it and they realized that it was too soon, executives. And so from now on, for all of time, December 13th will be commemorated as Too Soon Tuesday.
Okay. I can see that. My theory is either A, things just fell behind because holiday season, or B, I know a lot. I don't know how much of the Heroes team, but a lot of the Heroes team, especially at least the community team, was in Vegas this last weekend. So they were probably just super hungover and lost track of the days. Like, oh crap, it's Tuesday. Let's just push it till tomorrow. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm sure it was something technical, but yeah.
Well, myself in Heroes this week, I hopped in and I played some ranked towards the end of the season. I was like, you know what? At this point, like I don't care. It's not going to be stressful. We're just going to hop in and play and stream some games. Had a good time for the most part. There was still man, just it gets interesting in there. But I'm excited for season 3, which is also out now. I guess
That's
should
right.
have mentioned that. But yeah, we're ready to roll. Lots of big changes coming up in the patch notes here. So let's go ahead and hop in.
Well, I just want to throw in real quick.
Yeah.
I'm excited for season 3 too right now, but I'm kind of torn because Ragnaros is one of those heroes where I want to get him to 10 ASAP and get that master skin, which I don't do often.
Uh-huh.
Frankly, like a lot of times some of the purchase skins are just better than the master skins in my opinion, so it's not something I really super strive for, but this is really the first hero since Arthas, since the very beginning that I started playing where like I want to get the master skin and I want it to be like a visual for people that I'm actually good at him. So I want to put the time in and actually log some games on him and get proficient at this particular character, no matter how he is. Even if he gets nerfed to the ground or buffed through
He
the
will.
roof, don't care. Don't care. Just want to do it for sure. Which, I mean, like, for me, way back when I was thinking about it, all the way back to the very inception, when the first time I ever heard about Blizzard Dota at all, like my first thought was, oh man, I'll bet they put Ragnaros in there one day. That'll be cool. And that day is today, Gizmo Zord. That day is today.
I will say his master skin is cool, but the skin tints are lacking.
Really? Because I like the second tint of the Master quite a bit.
Yeah,
It's
that-
kinda got this,
with the
like,
gold.
reddish golden. It's like a Lannister colors. I mean, I'm into it.
But as far as the other skins, it's just kind of meh. And I understand because it's Ragnaros. It has to, be fire-ish themed. You can't.
Although it would have been kind of cool if like the third tint was this weird like purplish void sort of coloring. I would have been into that. But no, yeah. I get your reasoning.
Yes, but so and plus the baby Ragnaros skin, Lil Ragnaros or whatever, is incredible, and it changes his voice too. It's like a little high pitched Ragnaros. It's awesome. I love it. Well, we'll go ahead and hop into the store sales here. This week we have Murky Grunt, the Grunt Murky skin, and Glam Metal ETC, and also Winter Veil has
right.
come out with this patch here, and it's running December 14th through January 4th. And the special event quests and rewards, if you play 25 games during this time, you will get the special Snowflake Portrait, as well as permanent access to the festive Treasure Goblin Mount, as well as 25 bonus experience for the games throughout this event. I will say I'm a little upset about the festive Treasure Goblin Mount because I paid 20,000 gold for the Goblin Mount. And while it's
Previously,
not the
yeah.
exact same thing, it's a lot alike. And actually, you know what? I guess I don't care that much because I just have way too much gold. I am 98 or 99,000 now. I'm
Oh, really?
going to break 100,000 real soon. Real soon.
So you're the 1% complaining that you don't have more money. I get how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have some in-shop items here. There's going to be the 2016 Winter Veil bundle that has the special Snowflake Mount, Lunara, Winter Veil Lunara skin, Nazebo, and the creepiest thing, the new creepiest thing, it has overtaken the Monkey Brightwing. It is Ginger Dread Nazebo.
Oh, easily the creepiest. And you know what? I was thinking about it. I think that the Heroes team and the Overwatch team must have had some kind of contest with each other to come out with the creepiest skin possible, because Nutcracker Zenyatta over in Overwatch is creepy as heck as well, for the record.
It is creepy. I think Ginger Dread Nazebo takes the title.
Yeah.
Though.
Ginger
It's
Dread wins for sure. There's just the face, man.
It is
Everything else is fine.
awful,
And I actually,
and I
I'm
love
going to pick it up because, I mean, I like the spell effects and everything, and I just like that it's so different. And frankly, I didn't really have a Nazebo skin and kind of wanted one. But yeah, super creepy. Kind of love it.
Yeah, it's awful and amazing. I actually haven't seen the spell effects for it yet, so
They came out with a little video, that Winter Veil video, and it kind of hinted at some of them. Chocolate frogs, little Harry Potter thrown in there. So it's going to be good.
well, we also have they brought back the Winter Veil Classic bundle here with Stitches, Great Father Winter Stitches, Sylvanas, Sugar Plum Sylvanas, Jaina, Winter Veil Jaina, Rhaegar, Great Father Winter Rhaegar, and then the Reindeer Mount. So lots of stuff to
Yeah.
grab in there. As
That's kind of
well,
smart. I like that they're able to go back and get the holiday ones again, too, for people who missed out on it last year. So,
Yeah.
I like it. Although last year you had them half off this time of year, so I don't know why you would have missed them, but hey, that's beside the point.
Correct. And then there's also in the store right now that entered with this patch is the 2016 Fall Championship mount, another one of those little hex coins featuring Ballistics, who was our Fall Championship champions at BlizzCon. So I will probably pick that up as well. And then
Do
what
the
do we?
proceeds go to help out the team? Do we know again, or is that
I don't think it's been stated. I hope if not, again, just hope that's the direction things go in the future.
sure?
So what do we have going on with the free hero rotation this week?
Oh, let's see. We've got the dynamic duo of Malfurion and Vala, Nazebo, Anubarak, Lunara, Dahaka, Rhaegar, Illidan, at Chen, and Nova. And those last four are player levels 5, 7, 12, 15, respectively. So Nova Week, back again. And I've got to think that, I mean, I haven't been on since this update with these new ones, but I've got to think that it's possible that Quick Match is going to be just like that Nova Brawl. Just Novas everywhere.
Nova's everywhere. Well, we do have a little bit of news this week that I almost forgot. Thankfully, Multi reminded me I forgot.
I almost forgot,
feels,
too,
It feels
because-
like this happened before last episode, but it did not.
It was the day after, I think. We record on Wednesdays, and I think he announced on Thursday. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
But Dustin Browder, the game director for Heroes of the Storm, is now the previous game director for Heroes of the Storm. He is stepping down into an unnamed Blizzard project, and the new game director is Mr. Alan Dabiri. I think I pronounced that correctly.
That's how I would.
I don't know, but I think
Correct
that's
us
right.
if we're wrong, people.
Yeah, but Dustin Browder left an amazing kind of farewell note as far as Heroes on their forums that you can read, and we'll have that in the show notes. But, you know, he's ensured us it's being left in good hands. Alan has been at Blizzard, I think he said 20 plus years, regardless, a long time. You know,
And he's been on this project the entire time, apparently. So
Correct. So, still yet to be determined if he will be as public and vocal as Dustin was on Twitter. I kind of doubt it because that's really hard to top.
yeah,
So-
Dustin was fantastic on Twitter. So does this guy even have a Twitter that we know about?
I don't know. I haven't.
I mean, they don't all do it. Like, Jeff Kaplan over in Overwatch doesn't have one really either. And but he's really active on the forums and everything. So I'm hoping that we get at least some kind of activity like that out of Alan for sure. Because it feels cool as a community to be connected in that way. And I trust that he'll be doing it. It's just a matter of getting settled in the new chair and figuring out the strategy you want to go with on all that for sure.
Yeah. And then you also pointed out, and I had kind of thought about this when it was first announced, that this also happened with Tom Chilton from WoW and Eric
That's right.
Dodds of Hearthstone. So, you know, what does this mean? What are they working on?
Yeah, because Tom Chilton and Dustin Browder have both moved to this just completely unnamed project. And the only things we really know about it so far, just from gleaning from various job postings and that sort of thing, maybe there's more than this, but this is what I've gleaned so far, is that it's in the Overwatch engine, so like a first-person game, and then there's been job postings for people who are art directors for that engine, but also have a high knowledge of medieval weaponry and armor design.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think it's fantasy. And I don't know, we talked about this on my other show, The Cavalry, a little bit. I don't know if we really got to it here, but we're kind of speculating on what it could possibly be. But whatever it is, I will say, I mean, they took two game directors from two huge games. I mean, WoW being ginormous, of course. And then, now Hearthstone swapping around as well, too. So, like, whatever this is, they're putting some muscle behind it. And it's going to probably knock our socks off when the time comes.
Yeah. And I mean, I imagine it's a long ways down the road, but it is really interesting to think about because typically,
Yeah.
like if they moved over, it'd be like, oh, next WoW expansion or, Diablo expansion, which would make sense with the art director stuff postings that have been out. Because I saw that before BlizzCon, and that was one of those things where people are like, oh, Diablo 4 confirmed. But the fact
right.
that it's in the Overwatch engine is going to be really interesting. So,
This could also be something totally new. Like, I did guess that it's maybe a Diablo 4, perhaps in the style of like Skyrim, like a first-person view fantasy game, but I mean, it could be something completely new, and
Yeah.
that'd be exciting too.
So we will see there. I want to take this time here, real quick, to give a shout out to some new patrons. I want to thank the Brockness and Kyle Gayford for helping support the show through our Patreon. And both of them have earned their honorary titles. However, I only have a Zord name for one right now. So, Kyle, I promise I'll get yours. I just didn't know what Zord name to give you. So, we'll take care
So
of
hit
this
us
one.
up. Let us know if you've got a suggestion for sure.
For sure. You have been deemed worthy of bearing the Zord title. Welcome to the Zord Lords. Welcome, Brock Zord, to the Zord Lords. Thank you very much, sir. And we hope you appreciate your new title here. I want to give an update. So I've been working on some Patreon stuff along with Discord things. For both of these, just a quick announcement. If you have not gotten your Patreon shout out, please let me know. I think I've gotten everyone, but the organization system on Patreon isn't the greatest. So I've been working on some stuff to get that better. And at the same time, if you are one of our current patrons, make sure to link your patron account to Discord. You can do that on the patron website under your profile settings, because I have removed all of our Discord roles and connected that to the Patreon account, so it should automatically take care of it.
Okay, so if they don't do anything, they just lose their color scheme right now?
Yes. So if
Yes,
you've
okay.
noticed you don't have your color scheme anymore, it's not just because I'm like, oh, that guy doesn't get it anymore. You just need to go over
Yeah,
to,
right.
to Patreon, link that account, and it should automatically take care of it. If anyone has a problem, shoot us a message in Discord or private message me. We'll get it taken care of here.
That'd be so rude. Thanks for the money every month. You get nothing.
Absolutely.
No, seriously though, thank you guys. Absolutely.
We also have some tournament stuff that happened this week. The round 3 for the HGC qualifiers happened for North America here, so it has officially wrapped up. We have our top 8 teams for next year, and in the third qualifier we had Dumpster Tier Superstars, and then Chew8 My Hot Doge qualify. So congrats to both of those teams there. So rounding
all
it out,
those-
go ahead.
Oh, if you want to list them off, go for it.
So the 8 teams we have representing North America are Astral Authority, Denial Esports, Gale Force Esports, Navintic, Grandmaster Jackets, No Tomorrow, and then Dumpster Tier and Chew8. So did you get to catch much of this weekend's?
I did, and for it being the third round of these getting in, I will say though that these teams, Chew8 and Dumpster Tier, in their semifinals, they were convincing wins. Absolutely, and I believe both went 3-0 if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct?
I wasn't able to catch. I caught part of the finals in this one.
Bits of it. Okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to catch most of it this weekend. I caught the first and second qualifiers, but in the
Gotcha,
second
right.
qualifiers, Chew8 in the semis didn't look the greatest, and I think that's kind of expected here. A lot of these teams have professional players or streamers, people who grinded out Hero League, had Grandmaster,
Right.
but this isn't the top level play that we're used to seeing whenever we're watching competitive heroes. I'm not saying these are bad teams; they're good and they earn their spot into the top 8 here. But it's been interesting as we see the weeks go on.
Well, Chew8 technically probably had the tougher matchup in this one just because they were against Vox and Healy, which has some good people on it. In fact, this week we had our good buddy Rafflecopter Zord popping on there as well. So, and they were decent matches for sure, but it was a 3-0 victory for Chew8. So I think they at least proved that they've got this slot for sure. And I just want to talk to you about because I wasn't able to catch as much of the first 2 rounds of this, Thrall and Thrall's Earthquake. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I totally didn't I completely underestimated this when we talked about it before, and I feel like I've kind of been poo-pooing on Earthquake just in general, but even the casters, Jake and Jayhow were just sitting there going, the sustain through this is ridiculous now that it gives you those Frostwolf resistant stacks. So and I mean, the slow isn't anything to spit at either. They were womboing it with other stuff, and we saw in these games, really any team that were consistently taking Thrall and getting that off in a good combo were just winning not only the games but those group fights. So pretty substantial, really. I never thought I'd say this, that I'd take that over the other one, but man,
Yeah, and
interesting.
it's you know I've kind of gotten to the point now because there are the heroes out there to where their two ults are very difficult to balance.
Hmm.
There's always going to be one that's picked over the other. Sundering was always the case here. Now it's Earthquake, and I think I am okay if this continues. They may find a way to balance them both to where they're both getting picked about 50%. Probably not, but maybe. I would be okay with those heroes. Every 4 to 6 months or so, them going in and just tweaking it, nerfing one, bringing up the other, just to change things up, change some
Okay.
things up in the meta, and then just heroic picks there. So I don't
So
know.
deliberately changing the meta, which kind of feels like they've done here with this.
Yeah,
So
and I don't think they
yeah.
ever mean to make one like, all right, this is the new one. They are trying to balance them, but I think there are just those heroes it's never going to be quite what they want, just because those people will always min max everything. So we'll see there. But did you have any comments or anything on the qualifiers this week of any of the games
I
you
mean,
saw
they
or
were fun
anything?
to watch, and otherwise, I congrats, of course, to the teams that made it, and we're looking in particular to see how well these teams do moving forward, and especially like at this stage, are we going to have the other orgs out there looking to sponsor a few of these? Because as much as I love the name Chew Ate My Hot Dog, um, I just feel like they could use a new one necessarily, and maybe some extra pay along with that too. So, just to keep bringing the legitimacy to Heroes Esports. So let's hope if you're listening to this by chance and you're a part of one of these organizations, check out the gameplay here, see who you like, and see if you can pick some of these guys up, because a lot of these people have been in the scene for some time. And I was kind of thinking that as I was watching these games, because like in the Vox Nihili versus Chew 8, for example, again. I mean, I'm kind of rooting for my boy Rafflecopter, right? Because we've had him on the show. I want to see him do well. I know we just kind of subbed into them last minute there, but at the same time, like I was sitting there thinking about it, and I mean, what would the NA scene be without Glaurung, who was on the other team? A
Yeah.
name that we've heard this entire time. Like if you go back in the history of the show, how many times were we talking about him in the old, Illidan Tassadar games and doing just crazy stuff? So yeah, Glaurung's in. Some of these other people we've been following over time, and so yeah,
hmm
it's go ahead.
I agree. I'm really glad Dumpster Tier made it in there.
Yeah,
Faye
Dumpster Tier
Faye
as
is
well.
one of those names that
For sure.
has been in Heroes since the beginning, and so it's good to see her team qualify here. Well, let's go ahead and hop on into the patch notes here. Some monstrous changes happen
Yeah.
this patch. So
I don't think we're going to be able to cover everything. but
yeah, no.
let's-
But first off, well, I know you haven't gotten a chance to play Rag yet.
Except at BlizzCon.
Yeah,
but,
except at
yeah.
BlizzCon. I was able to get 2 games in before the show because queue times were like 10 minutes plus. So
Oh boy.
a little rough. But man, he is. First off, I think we're going to see possibly some nerfs incoming. Not immediate. I think they'll wait a couple weeks. But he has, I think, from what I've noticed in looking at his talents and stuff, a couple viable different talent builds. The one I was kind of messing around with before the show was his Meteor build, which isn't as much sustain, but super fun. It's got you
Do you get a lot
similar.
of wave clear out of it and stuff?
It's okay with. I mean, his wave clear is going to be pretty darn good just in general
Right,
with
sure.
his splash damage from his Q and then his little radius explosion from his E.
True.
So he's really fun. Again, not as much sustain there, and then Fire Wave. I was wanting to try out the Sulfuria Smash or whatever because I haven't picked that yet. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it before the show. See what it's like. I couldn't do it. I got to pick the Fire Wave. So
Agreed.
just
Agreed.
you-
Lava wave, but yes.
yes, Lava Wave. Yeah. So I don't. Or do you have any builds or anything? What did you try out when you were at BlizzCon as far as talents?
When I was there, and again, so the version we have now is a little bit weaker than the one at BlizzCon. I understand, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we have any of the numbers necessarily, but that's the general consensus out there as I understand it. So out there, I mean, I was just kind of playing around with it. I got a couple games in, stood in line a couple times for him, and And yeah, I was liking a lot of the stuff that worked with the Molten Swing,
Uh,
the Q. But also, there's this one, I forget what level that's at. Is it 16 or so, where you go into stasis for a little bit? Loved that thing.
oh, whenever you get
Absolutely.
stunned or rooted?
No, I don't know if they took it out. I'd have to go and look,
I don't
but
know
there's
well
one
enough
that you
yet.
could put yourself in stasis, kind of like Dahaka style
Hmm.
for a second or two.
Yeah.
And I found it super useful for some of those fights.
Yeah, he has. If you go his sustain build, he has a ton of sustain, which is really nice. But of course, we will dig into him more throughout this coming week to be able to talk about him more in depth and a build next week. So looking forward for that. And I know TBK would be really sad if we talk too much about him because this is his hero here. So we'll save a little bit of it.
Well, it's mine too, man. It's mine too. Like Ragnaros for me, I don't know what it is, because you started raiding in, was it Kata? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Back in the day, like when you first got to Rag for the first time in Molten Core, you felt like you accomplished something just to even be there. And then you pulled him, and he beat the heck out of your entire 40-man team. I don't care who you are. I don't know of anyone that would have gotten that far and had the fire resistance ready for him at that point. No one just walked in there with the Dark Iron set, right? So it was just super cool because it was this model that we'd never really seen before, and it was huge. I mean, obviously you've gone in there since then. You know what this is all about, but just awesome. And for that reason, like I don't know why. I guess it's a mixture of that and him just screaming things like "Die, insect!" and "By fire be purged." Like I've just always just loved him. I don't know what it is. So I'm super thrilled. Again, I could. I'm gonna do this all next week too. All I'm gonna do is gush about Ragnaros, but I'm amped.
All right, I can dig it. I can dig it. We have some changes coming up here in Ranked Season 3, which, if you don't know by now, Hero League is going to be single player from here on out, and then Team League is going to be groups of 2, 3, or 5, which is going to change things up a lot here. And
Oh, yeah.
originally, when this was first announced at BlizzCon, I wasn't super stoked about it. But then I kind of came to accept, well, one, this is going to get more people in Team League, which is extremely important because that's the best mode to play. And two, they are just testing this out. This isn't a for sure thing that's going to stick around. Even if this just gets more people into Team League to potentially, when it goes back to 5, if it goes back to 5, would have, people who have played together more that will have more teams because
Right.
it's just kind of been rough in there right now. But they
Yeah,
are,
and I
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say I'm really excited about the new amounts of people that you can queue with, the 2, 3, and 5 for Team League. In part because, like sometimes when I get on, I'll hop on. And there will be 2 other people, some of our buddies, some listeners wanting to play, and so if there's 3 of us, we just kind of get stuck doing quick play and that sort of thing. But now we've got that option as well. And then when you think about it, like there are some people who I think have the sentiment where it's like, oh, Team League should just be teams. It should be 5 stack only, like it was, and blah, blah, blah. And to them, I kind of say, well, I mean, you can queue as a 5 stack. And I've got to think that if you're really like hardcore trying to push your Team League rating, that would still be really the only way to do it. I mean, there might be freakish situations in which people get up there with like a 3 stack and a 2 and just get lucky with really good teammates and kind of get high. But I got to think when this all shakes out at the end of the day, the top is going to be 5 stacks anyway. So
Yeah.
if that's your goal, that's the way to do it. Still, no change there.
I agree. And it also says 5-player parties can mix with any mixture of league rankings. There's not going to be that requirement to be within 5 ranks.
Right,
Or
right. Which
whatnot.
is cool.
Yeah, so you can play with your friends. There's not going to be minimum hero level requirements in order to queue for Team League. You just need at least 14 heroes. So that's kind of cool.
Makes
You
sense.
don't have to have them to 5. You should have them to 5. Just so if you have to pick that hero, you've played a few games on it, but
Right.
not a requirement. They're also going to have the rewards still. I think we mentioned last week it's going to be the stag. So good old elemental stag.
Oh, yes.
Some battleground stuff, as we mentioned. Haunted Mines is back. The rework that completely redone the map. There's now 4 entrances to the mine. The mines themselves are laid out differently. The boss is in the middle. So I did not get that match in my 4 games before the show. that I'm super looking forward to it. This was one of
Is
my.
it in the regular rotation already?
It doesn't say that it's not.
True.
So
We'll have to
I
check it
don't
out.
know.
I seem to vaguely remember, I don't know if it was TBK or someone saying that it was going to come out in custom first and then get into the rotation, but I don't quote me on that. I don't know.
Yeah, I also heard somebody say it was going to come out like as the next Brawl first, which I thought was weird, and I didn't think that was correct. I don't think that's correct. So I believe it is in the rotation. Who knows though? We'll see. But I'm super excited to play it. This was one of my favorite maps, even though it was kind of snowbally to begin with. I just loved the entire idea of it. So if they have fixed that snowball issue, which I think they have probably, because it's going to, the golem's being reset. He's not going to start from where he currently was, and I
Right. They
believe
swap
he's
sides, right?
yeah, and it's going to switch sides here, I believe. So
That was always the big thing for maybe newer players who didn't play the original Haunted Mines. The issue mostly was that the two golems just worked their way down the lane that they started in, essentially, and yeah. So if you got ahead, you stayed ahead for the most part. So yeah, that's a simple enough fix to it, I think.
Mhm.
We are getting from the chat Draven Dresden, who I recognize from the Heroes Never Die podcast about Overwatch. He says he got ragged to level 7 today with 0 games on the new mines. So kind of
I mean, there are 12 maps.
that's true. I mean, he could just have really, really bad luck on that.
Okay.
I've done that before. I don't want to tell you guys how long it took for me to get to play Warhead Junction, but that's beside the point. But yeah, okay, who knows?
We have some user interface changes here, some interesting ones. So melee and ranged are now going to be filters for Hero Select, which is kind of interesting there and cool. And then another thing that caught my eye was these hero and role chat links. I don't know how often these will be used, but this is for when you're in Hero League or Team League, you can press Shift and click a hero portrait or role, and that's going to create a link in the lobby chat. So this is they said they want to use this for suggesting picks or bans in draft lobbies, which I guess the link, I mean, because you can type that out. I'm assuming if you click that link, it selects that hero either for the ban or if you're picking. So
We'll have to play with this a little bit, but
what would be cool is if you did that, then maybe they would potentially add something like this in, and it would either tell, like, kind of put a list of names of like who has that hero, or like be red if no one has it, or no one left that's still picking has it.
yeah, I could see that.
Something like that, just to give your team a better idea as far as finishing off their draft.
Communicate a little bit easier as well. So yeah,
And then we have revealable heroes here, which is kind of interesting. Heroes who are considered unrevealable will no longer shimmer like other stealth heroes. After the unrevealable period ends, they'll shimmer again. So this, I mean, I imagined this is like Tassadar,
yeah. I was
Samuro.
thinking Tassadar. Okay.
So I can't think of any other heroes besides that, but interesting thing.
So
I guess.
it's the full
Full stealth.
Stealth. Yeah,
Full stealth to get you out of there.
makes sense.
Then,
Yeah, so that's a buff to them.
yes, it is. Which I think they're kind of doing because they have had some kind of general stealth nerfs with the scouting drones and stuff being able to reveal
Right.
in those areas now. So Battlegrounds here. I know TBK will like this. For the Blackheart's Revenge, Garden Arena, Punish Arena, Temple Arena, pretty much any arena coming out in the Brawl modes now, healing fountains are going to be invulnerable. You got your wish. You got your wish. But more importantly, we have some actual map changes. Braxis Holdout, the Zerg Rush, initial Zergling spawns increased from 3 to 6. And then on Warhead Junction, they have nerfed the damage. The base damage has gone from 2750 to 2300, and they're now going to scale by 70 every minute. And it's no longer going to have that large jump at 18 minutes. This is to try and avoid people
Gotcha.
from hoarding the warheads until 18-minute
Just
mark.
waiting for the time. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. So good fix for sure.
But it's going
You
to
know
be
what, Gizmo?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting now because now that it's like every minute, you're gonna have like I got 10 seconds left till it's a little stronger. Grant, it's only 70 damage, so that probably wouldn't make
Right.
that much difference.
Not necessarily worth it. You're right. You know what though? I want to nerf warhead damage worldwide. That's my holiday dream.
all I want for Christmas.
That's it.
All I
Just
want
world
for
peace,
Winter
man.
Veil.
Exactly.
That's all I want.
Is to nerf Warhead Junction.
And so let's go ahead and hop into the hero changes here.
Yes.
First up, we have Chromie, and this is an interesting change. Very interesting. Her Time Walker, her trait, which previously gave it to where she got talents a level ahead of everyone else, is now 2 levels.
She's going even further ahead in time. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nuts. It's nuts.
It's actually really strong. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this possibly might bring her into play some more. I know she's fantastic in our 2v2 tournaments, the Lords of the Lane. This is going to make her even more so, just for the record.
Yeah. And then speaking of those kind of nerf to stealth heroes, her Time Walker Pursuit, which is an activatable at level 1, is now also going to reveal an area for 2 seconds, and then the enemies seen are revealed for 4 seconds. So,
Yeah, so they probably did a ton of testing to see how this played with people like Tassadar, and you know, I've just got to think that's why they're doing a little push and pull between those two elements, is what it feels like to me. You know.
agreed. Kale Thas here, Pyroblast, getting a slight nerf, cast time reduced from 2 to 1.5, and the range increased by 30%.
No, that's a buff, my friend.
Did I say
Buff.
nerf? I meant buff, a slight buff.
Yep. Goes off faster, and you can cast it from a further distance.
Yeah,
so.
the range is a big deal
Oh, yeah.
because there, I can't remember how many times back whenever I was taking Pyroblast, you would almost just get it off and they'd walk out of range. So now that the fact that it's cast faster, have that range, it'll be easier. But it's still there's so many heroes that can mitigate it or negate it completely. It's going to be very situational here, but hopefully, may at least see it a little more now. I'd be okay
Because
with
I
that.
like it. I'd like to see it more. But yeah, Phoenix is pretty sweet. Did we call Phoenix on our Kael'thas show? Like way back when? Or did we go with... I'll have to go back and
I'm
look.
pretty sure we went with Phoenix Flames or
Yeah, I
Phoenix
think so, too.
because it's just the zoning potential.
Well, and even then we picked up on like some of the negating, like Uther and stuff. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. That, by the way, was an episode that you and I did, just you and I.
It was.
Just the two of us. I think that was even the title of it, but
Support roles we have here. Ariel, not necessarily any nerfs or buffs, but her Bestow Hope traits now the crown is going to be visually seen by all allies, which I didn't
Which is
even
kind of a buff, really.
Yeah,
when
it
you think
is.
about it.
especially for quick match or hero league, especially now.
Right.
It's something I never really thought about. Like I always knew it was on when it was on me, so it's like okay, make sure I'm getting in there and doing damage. But that is a nice little change, and it makes
Yeah,
sense.
I guess you don't get a ton of info from seeing it on someone else, except in like that quick match scenario when you see that, he's taken the ability power talent that helps buff that, but he's putting it on the Vala, and you're a Jaina, so you could be like, "What
That's
the
true.
f, dude? Put it on me."
WTF, mate?
Yeah,
Rhaegar,
Anyway.
Rhaegar, he might be back, folks.
he might be.
He might be back. Basic attack damage increased from 99 to 120. That's pretty big right there.
Yeah.
Lightning shield damage increased from 64 to 70 damage per second. Bloodlust added functionality. All affected allies now heal for 30% of basic attack damage dealt during Bloodlust. This, I am super excited to see what impact this has, because the entire problem with Bloodlust wasn't that it was bad, it's that it didn't have any healing. And now the fact that it has that healing, and you can get a lot of healing off whenever Bloodlust is going just because of the attack speed increase.
Depending on your team comp,
Yeah.
you still would want to think about who you've got going. If you've got Varian and Vala, sure, just go for it. But if you had a bunch of casters and burst heroes, that sort of thing, you might think about it otherwise. But think about this too. In the same fell swoop, they've got, his increased attack damage on himself, and then also the ability to heal more from it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for your own self-sustain, that's huge. I've got to think.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't think it's going to replace. Why can't I think of his other
Ancestral healing.
ancestral healing altogether? I don't think that's the case, but I do think
That's still
that
just
we
a good heal.
yeah, I do think that we will see this now in competitive play, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, Solid Jake is super excited about this, for the record. You can feel it. He's going to make a whole tournament about it.
Indeed. And then he also picked up some talent changes. Stormcaller at 4 now returns mana from all enemies, not just heroes, which is kind of big there. Totemic Projection at 7 got added functionality. It's going to increase duration of Earthbind Totem from 8 to 12 seconds, which is fairly nice. And then his level 12's Farseer's Blessing is going to have secondary healing effect, increases from 25 to 50% of Ancestral Healing's full amount. So buff there. And then Gladiator's War Shout's now going to increase Bloodlust healing from 30 to 60% of basic attack damage.
See, that's pretty serious. But the other one, the Farseers, did you ever really need that? I mean, it's already a huge heal.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, at level 20, people have more health, and I mean, I'm sure you could get value out of it, but I mean, I don't know. I never really took that one. But this Gladiator's War Shout, doubling the amount that you would get from there, and late game, I mean, that could be something that right now, like if you were to log in and play an auto attack team today and plan to do this, and maybe even have like another pseudo support like Tassadar or someone in there to help with some of the healing or just absorption and that sort of thing, you could surprise people quite a bit, I would think, by doing this at level 20 and just starting to win these massive group fights with all the self healing. So I mean, I want to get in there and try it out to see exactly how good this is, but it sounds good.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I feel like this is just TBK's patch.
Yeah, kind of. I wish he was here to gush about it.
Yeah,
That's cool. Whatever.
Way to dip out on this patch, TBK.
Yeah, I was Arizona. Glad you're warm.
All your heroes. This next hero I'm excited about, Artanis.
Yes.
So the main thing I'm excited about here, and this was had been tested in PTR, I think like the past 3 weeks or so. Does that sound right? I think so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the Phase Prism has gotten added functionality where it can now be cast during Blade Dash. And this just has endless possibilities. You can warp somebody through terrain, Blade Dash through terrain, warp them either to get you to safety or get them in the middle of your team. You can have crazy range because it teleports them to the start of your Blade Dash. So if you dash all the way forward, catch them at full extent of your Phase Prism, that's going to send them way back. But be careful because that's also going to send you way forward and
Right.
could get you into some trouble. But it's not just a straight line now. You can do an L shape. You can do a V shape.
Yeah.
I mean, still sharp angles. You can't curve it. But so I'm super excited to try that out. But he also got a lot of other changes here. So his Blade Dash is now reduces the cooldown of Shield Overload by 1 second per enemy hit and 2 seconds per hero hit, which is nice because his shield did get some changes here, which we'll get to in a second. Twin Blades, the charge range on it's now goes to the edge of target units instead of the center. I didn't ever realize this was a thing. So it's going to increase the range of him slightly and make it feel more consistent, which makes sense. Because I actually, like, after I saw this, I was like, oh, because those big heroes like Asmodan or something, it always felt like you had to be really close to them to get that leap. And it's just because their circle's so large. So
Yeah, exactly.
that'll be nice.
Doesn't impact where the center is. So yeah, I mean, now it's going to be really easy to snap onto an Asmodan. So
Yeah.
very cool.
And then those the shield changes I was talking about, shield overload, cooldown increased from 20 to 24 seconds. However, the activation threshold it has increased from 50 to 75% health. So you're going to get those shields earlier, and the shield value is being reduced from 449 to 360. So a couple nerfs with a slight buff there. I don't know how exactly that's going to balance out.
It seems like it was all in the effort of ensuring that it goes off at 75% instead. And that probably has something to do with preventing people from bursting him down too hard from 50 to where he couldn't get back from it. I've got to think. I'm not sure exactly the reasoning behind that, but all of this, even the added functionality of the Q, seems like it's all designed to lead to that 75% threshold for it to activate. And so, yeah, I mean, it'll just come with time and getting in there and practicing, but it seems like that was their target goal, and they just tweaked the other numbers to make it work.
Yeah. And this is great because Varian destroyed Artanis.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, this won't help a ton there, but at least, after Varian just destroys your shield, you're not at 50% health or lower. You
True.
still have that little bit of base health here. But he got a ton of talent changes here as well, and new functionality. Functionality? Thought I pronounced that wrong for some reason. Words are hard. Level 4, we got Shield Surge, which has actually moved to level 16. So from 4 to 16, but it added functionality where Shield Overload's shield amount is increased by 80% while you're below 25% health. That is also big.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing Varian. So,
Of course.
and then Shield Battery got a redesign where Shield Overload's cooldown recharges 50% faster while the shield is active and increases the duration of Shield Overload from 5 to 6 seconds. So another buff there. Why do I keep wanting to say nerf? I mean buff.
Right. It's all good.
And
They're only opposites.
Yeah, complete opposites. It's not like we're trying to actually inform people on this show.
No, of course not.
And Psionic Energy moved to level 7, but it's now going to increase the cooldown reduction of hitting heroes with Blade Dash from 2 to 4 seconds. Let's see any other big ones here.
A lot of little ones,
Yeah,
for sure.
a lot of those
You know.
stuff. So he got an interesting one at 16, though. Burning Rage has been, one moved to 13 instead of 16 and replaced with Plasma Burn. So while your shield is active, you deal 50 damage per second to nearby enemies. So we've seen this done with previous traits, the latest being Bribe, to where there were generic trait or talents that are being changed to suit a hero. And I believe this is the first one we've seen a Burning Rage.
Yeah, perhaps. Now, is this a different amount? Like, is it more than regular Burning Rage? Is Burning Rage 25?
I think it is. I don't know for sure. It would make sense because you're not going to have shields up all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So help us out, Chad, if you know that one. But I gotta think. Yeah.
I didn't get to test out his changes yet again because Wednesday patch.
Yeah,
And
today.
No
so
time.
There's only so much you can do.
Multi, have you gotten a chance to take a look at Dahaka?
I took a look at him. I haven't got a chance to play him yet either, because when I get in there, I'm going to be playing Reg, just so you know. But I mean, I do like Dahaka, and I always have. In fact, when he first came out, you guys remember how hyped I was about him for sure. So, and I mean, he's even in his current state, he was seeing some play this weekend. He wasn't always winning when he was seeing the play, but he was in there. The global is just strong these days,
Yeah.
with the reduced mount speed and everything. But in their ever ongoing war on globals, as we discussed last week, Brush Stalker's getting a cooldown increase as well from 40 to 50 seconds, which is pretty substantial. It's a good chunk of the time. However, they did add an extra functionality where Dahaka gains 15% movement speed while in a bush, just flat out, and for 1 second after exiting the bush, which for him is probably arguably more important than on any other hero in the entire game because of the way Brush Stalker works. This way, you're popping out of the bush, like from anywhere on the map, and then having the gap closer that then gets you in range to use your Q and get the grab off and all that stuff. So that's, I mean, to me, yeah, sure, I'll trade 10 seconds for that. That sounds awesome. I remember there's a talent down the road that did that at a higher rate for sure. That when I played him, I took every time just because I liked the surprise factor, closing the gap, everything about it. So that it's kind of built in is exciting.
I wonder if it doesn't say, so I assume if you just get in a bush, it's going to do that. So if you just walk through a bush, it would or a fog of war, it would increase that, which is going to be amazing for some maps, especially those smaller maps of making him a little bit stickier. And
or tight maps that have a lot of bushes, like Cursed Hollow, just kind of wrapping around on teams and doing stuff. That could be really cool. Because I mean, yeah, it's while you're in a bush too. You could travel slightly faster on foot, which is what he does. So that's pretty substantial too.
Yep. We mentioned a bug of his last week where the whole Essence collection, if you used that trait, there was the bug to where if you used it like immediately after, if you gained more Essence, it would cancel out the healing that was being done. They have fixed that now to where it's been placed on a 5-second cooldown after activation, which again, that's just a weird bug because they had mentioned like it was working as intended. Oh, so
Are you
it
trying to
wasn't a
make
bug.
like a
It wasn't a
Zerg pun
bug.
here? Like you're talking about bugs
Well,
and it's a
it-
Zerg guy?
It wasn't technically a bug if it was working as intended, so it was just
True.
weird.
Yeah.
Just weird. It was a Zerg.
But is
It wasn't a bug. There we go.
but is
There's the-
Dahaka a bug or is he a dinosaur? Because our Carbot friends have led me to think that he's a dinosaur.
Fair enough. But they have pretty much with all these changes here that we're going to talk about, they are trying to make it to where he can be main or have main tank potential, which he just
For sure.
he didn't have before necessarily. So in doing that, his Burrow had some added functionality to where it can now be canceled by pressing the hotkey again. So
Which is just smart. I feel like it should have always been there, but
yeah,
whatever.
Because right now, I mean, you can, and it even has like a little gauge, so an enemy team can see like when you're going to pop out of it. Now it's much more unpredictable, can get you out of more sticky situations, which is nice. And then adaptation, the heal amounts increase from 60 to 100% of incoming damage.
Which is cool, but there's also isolation.
Yes,
exists.
but
And so
I think this has potential now because it was never great. One, because it was 60%. Yes, isolation is good, but he also wasn't a main tank, so
True, yeah.
he didn't want him in there taking the damage. If he can actually endure the damage now and be that main tank, that frontline person, this could be amazing. Because that's
Yeah.
the potential of like an ancestral heal on yourself.
yeah, that's very true. And if you're fighting like a burst comp of some kind and you time it for the exact moment that you get hit by a blizzard and yeah,
So,
he could be thrown in as like an anti-burst pick as the meta shifts toward those. So very
Yeah.
interesting.
Um,
Very interesting. But as to the rest of these talents, there's a lot here as well. I don't know if we want to hammer out every single last little thing. There are some new talents added though.
yeah, and a lot of
Well.
new functionality. We'll try not to hit on all of them here, but the fact, just to kind of show, his main tank ability now for Enduring Swarm at level 1, he's going to take 40% less damage from abilities while Dark Swarm is active. So there's some
Which is
mitigation.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enhanced Agility has new functionality. For every 50 essence you collect, it increases your brush stalker movement speed by 1%, and it can stack to 10 times. So that could make it to where you have 10% movement speed. Or, no.
25.
25% movement speed every time you go through a bush, which is awesome. But as far as the tankiness, I think Enduring Swarm's going to kind of take it over there. Unless
I think so.
you're going the dual tank, so.
Right. Although 25% movement speed, don't mounts go 20 now?
Yeah.
So you're faster than a mount at this point, and you have a global. There's something to that.
Do they go 20% now, or did they go 30 before? I think they went 30 before.
30 before, and they've nerfed it to 20.
25,
25.
I think. Because
Hmm.
in the Nova Brawl that was last week,
Mm-hmm.
you moved the same speed if you took that level 1 stealth talent, which made you go 25% faster stealth. You moved
Okay.
the same speed as when you were mounted. So, I don't know.
Gotcha. I don't know.
Let's see
I
here.
feel like I should know, but
It's numbers. Level 4, Lurker Strain has new functionality. Emerging from burrow knocks away enemies and slows their movement speed by 30% for 2 seconds. More escape, equaling more sustainability, which is nice. And his Hero Stalker trait, this is level 4 talent. The bonus essence gained from takedowns is being reduced by 150 to 100. So a little less on the takedowns there. Oh, mount speed was nerfed from 40 to 30.
Oh, okay. There it
40.
is.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So almost as fast as mounted, but again, that's just 1 second each time coming in and out of a bush there.
Right. Or you could take 40% less damage from abilities while Dark Swarm is active, which is decent uptime. I mean, and it's something you can control. So, I mean, unless you're fighting, I guess, a full-on auto attack team, In which case, I don't know why you took him, because this seems like more of an anti-mage sort of deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, continue.
Let's see here. At level 13, you can increase that Breath Stalker movement from 1 to 3 seconds with Swift Pursuit. Ferocious Stalker. After using Breath Stalker, increase your damage by 25% for 10 seconds. That's pretty big. 'Cause 10 seconds is a long time there. Easy to get in and out of a bush to keep uptime on that. And then a new talent, Primal Swarm, is going to affect enemies affected by Dark Swarm taking 15% increased damage. So that's awesome if he has that main tank potential to get in there and cause that vulnerability on multiple targets.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to me, like, at least just looking at this on paper, that makes a little more sense to me than Ferocious Stalker, only because, yeah, you're getting your own damage up by 25%, but Dahaka isn't that great of a damage dealer, and if they're tweaking him to be a main tank instead, I imagine perhaps even less so. But to give 15% to everybody sounds cool.
Yeah. Amazing.
Especially with the new, like, offsetting of, you know, bringing down the damage versus the mitigation and that sort of thing. So, yeah, very substantial.
I read through these patch notes several times before the show, and each time I read through them, like these heroes with all these big changes, Rhaegar, Dahaka, and Diablo, which we'll get to here in a second. Every time I read through them, I get more and more excited to play them. Which Dahaka, for me, I wasn't super excited when he came out. I played him a few times, then just stopped playing him. I want to get back in there now. But Ragnaros is here. Gosh dang it.
I know, that's the problem.
Level 16, Tunneling Claws. Dahaka can now move while burrowed. That's awesome.
Extra escapability, yeah.
Extra escapability, and also, as a main tank, digging under the enemy team to cut people off.
Oh, yeah. Or just get past the front line. You know, go underneath that ETC and then pop out and grab the Jaina and silence her, and that could be really cool.
Yeah, I wonder if this can move through, I assume it can, move through terrain.
Good question.
I mean,
it would make sense from like a fantasy. And then,
yeah. But what happens if you come up under terrain? Do you die?
Then you just die instantly.
Did you die, though?
No, you're not dead. You're just stuck there the rest of the game.
And then
I feel like that probably happened once in testing. But anyway, go on.
Level 20 here changes survival, which is his adaptation buff, I guess. Heal amount increased from 125 to 200% of incoming damage. How does that?
I guess you would just wait until, and what's always been kind of awkward about his is you kind of want to wait until you get some value out of it. But in this case, yeah, to me, you'd wait until you're like 25% or something and then pop it and just get insane amount of your health back.
Well,
but I mean,
maybe my brain is not comprehending this. But if you receive healing for 100% of incoming damage, doesn't that mean you get... Okay, never mind.
You take the damage, but then you get it back.
Yeah, well, because I was thinking, you're at 100% health, bam, you're going to be back at 100% health. But this is for, like, you're at 50% health, you can get back up to 100% health, potentially. That makes more sense.
Yeah, you can use it that way. Mm-hmm.
That makes more sense to me. And then he got Essence Claws at 20, which basic attacks slow enemies by 20% for 1 second. And they also grant Dahaka 5 Essence.
It's kind of exciting, but I've actually kind of always liked the level 20 basic attack stuff, just because so anything that adds the slow is pretty substantial. I mean, you, especially as a tank now, if you're stripping away people who are trying to escape or using that as a suicide mission to sacrifice yourself to save other people, it could be substantial.
Yeah, this is his version of Nexus Frenzy.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, the 5. I don't remember what Dahaka's attack speed is like, but I think it's medium from what I remember. Yeah. So 5 essence per hit, that's gonna increase your sustainability a ton just through your own self healing late game.
Right. So
on top of the burrowing, being able to move while you're burrowed, things like that. So, super excited to see where he kind of falls here, because we were already seeing him in competitive play. Now maybe we'll see him take on that main tank role here. So this one,
I would like to. Yeah, the next one has a potential in main tank.
this
what I
guy has a
understand.
potential to get nerfed.
Yeah.
So I was able, besides my Ragnaros games, to get in, and I had to just try Diablo out because all of the chats in Heroes right now are complaining about Diablo and the fact he's just insta-ban in ranked play. People are saying, I'm not playing my placement games until Diablo gets nerfed because if he,
Wow.
which doesn't make sense because if he's getting banned, not a big deal. It's not good to have a forced ban that you just have to ban, but yeah. The overall changes kind of that they made to him here are decreasing his damage here a little bit, but increasing his survivability. So
Well, and the other major one to me, frankly, is the Fire Stomp.
Yeah.
The fact that they fully baked in where the fireballs return to you. I mean, that is just a feature of the ability now. It's no longer one of those talents that you take as well. Because, yeah, all right, we took it every time. Makes sense. They reduced the base damage of it some to compensate for this, but that's got to be part of it too. I haven't gotten in there to play with him yet either, but I mean, is the wave clear part of the equation here? As I understand.
it's not nearly as good as what it was. But
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Even
because
so.
they nerfed it from 106 damage to 60. So if it hits everything on the way back that it hit on the way out, yeah, it's gonna do a little bit more damage. But the chances of that are fairly slim. But they have also, yes, that's a big nerf to the damage. They've also added some talents and stuff to negate that a little bit and get it buffed a little bit later on.
Sure.
But they've also made changes to his shadow charge, decreased the damage, but added new functionality. He's going to gain 25% resistance for 2 seconds after charging, and if the target collides with terrain, they're going to take an additional 150 damage. So, BAM automatically makes him a little bit more tanky there, which early
what else?
game isn't
ahead.
as much of an issue because typically, you want to go in, overpower, then shadow charge back towards your team. But it's still nice, and it only gets better late game.
Yeah.
Like much, much better here.
Makes sense. As does the Black Stone change. This is pretty huge. This has to be part of the equation too. Bonus max health per Soulstone stack was 0.2, is now 0.4%. So, double what it used to be. And I mean, for anyone that's played Diablo even in its former state, you could tell the difference between no stacks and full stacks. And now it's just double that. So
Yeah.
Diablo is one that throughout the years has gone through some fluctuations with this, and it does seem to me like anytime the Soul Stone is up there, so is he kind of in the meta because you can just get more out of it. And so I've got to think maybe this is one of the places they would nerf, bring it to 0.3 or something.
Yeah, this is a big one. And he had a ton of talents removed. And we're not going to go over all those. We'll have these in the patch notes. You can take a look at those. We'll just go
Sure,
over
sure.
the new stuff here. So at level 1, Devil's Due has new functionality. Regeneration globes and healing fountains are 2% more effective for every stack of Black Soulstone.
That's pretty cool.
So by the end, once you get your 100 stacks, it can be 200% more effective, and you can feel it. It's
This guy's going to
awesome.
destroy the 2v2 tournaments, by the way.
if he doesn't get nerfed by the next one.
Right, exactly.
He got a new talent, Bulwark, for his Q, which increases the duration of shadow charge resistance from 2 to 5.
Could be good.
Could be good, but I think the regeneration globe thing, that's probably going to be something that gets a nerf here. But it's huge because, again, yeah, 5 seconds is really good, but typically at this point you're not wanting to charge into a team where you're going to be taking a lot of that damage.
Well, he's gone through phases where he had the old amplified healing for a while, which kind of did the same sort of thing. But yeah, the numbers there seem a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. Level 4, he has demonic strength getting changed, slow duration increased from 2 to 3, slow amount increased from 25 to 30. Speed Demon, a new talent. Diablo gains 30% movement speed for 5 seconds after being stunned or rooted. So,
Pretty cool.
Get the heck out of there. Lets him get out of there, which is nice.
And I've got to think that this still triggers even if someone cleanses you right after. So, I mean, there could be some really cool play there, counterplay to the stun meta.
And his From the Shadows, which was level 4, has been moved to level 7 now, and it also added functionality. It increases shadow charge range by 33%. That's pretty darn big. Not the knockback, but the range.
Just the distance at which you can get it off, which It's nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. Can't you just close the gap with your mount too? Sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets better later on. Again, I've only played one game with them, but the build I fell in love with, and it's going to be one of those that's hard for me to break unless I find out it's awful, which it could be. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Level 7, Diabolical Momentum, new functions. Basic attacks lower the cooldown of Shadow Charge and overpower by 1.5 seconds, which is nice. But a new talent, Soul Shield. Each Black Soulstone stack Diablo has grants him 0.35 resistance to enemy abilities. So
Just flat.
Yep. So at 100, 35% damage resistance from abilities. Insane.
So you've got the extra health and just flat resistance to abilities, and I can't even keep track.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
If you're going up against a caster team, it's like they're tickling you with a feather.
You know how we were just talking about how cool it would be now that Dahaka has some of these anti-caster capabilities? Like, oh, it would be nice to have another anti-mage tank. And then now we're here, we're like, oh, here's a much better one.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just Ariel's taking her little ribbons and just tickling Diablo.
Just brushing them gently across his cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And let's see, level 13 here. So Hellfire. This is one that kind of potentially make up for that damage nerf that it just got. So each enemy hero hit by Fire Stomp is going to increase the damage of the next Fire Stomp by 10%, stacking up to 100%. That can cause a ton of damage. If you get in the middle of a team fight, cast that thing off, it's going to hurt the next time you get in there and cast it a lot, which is nice.
And when it stacks, does it stay stacked? Or
No, it's just for the next cast.
Okay.
So you got to plan it out and make sure you're using it worthwhile. And it added, you'll see down in the corner a little gauge that'll tell you how many stacks you got.
Do you lose them if you press it and you hit no heroes?
I
Or does it
don't.
just reset?
I believe so, but I do not know for sure. But I would imagine you lose it just if the next time you cast it.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
And Fire Devil is now on level 13 instead of 4, and aura damage increased from 17 to 22, and it's also going to increase his basic attack damage by 25% for 6 seconds. So,
Yeah.
Okay, not as good as Hellfire in my opinion.
Hellfire sounds really strong. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, this is the tier that things get fun.
16?
So, yes. Domination has new functionality. It lowers the cooldown of Overpower by 4 seconds, and using Overpower refreshes the cooldown of Shadow Charge. So now you can Shadow Charge in, overpower somebody back out over your head, and then Shadow Charge them back towards your team.
Or hit your own wall, or man, that's cool.
Yeah, and this is where like the resistance from casting Shadow Charge is nice. Because now you can go into their team, not worry about getting blown up as fast, and then immediately get somebody back to your team. It's like a hook, pretty much, a Stitch's hook, except easier to land.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah, I was having a blast with this thing, and I was playing it on Braxis Holdout, so there's a lot of tight corridors. You Shadow Charge somebody into a wall, it deals 150 damage to them. You overpower them over your head, you Shadow Charge them into another wall, and it does another 150 damage to them. Scaling, of course, so it wrecks people.
And you're resistant the whole time, and you've got extra health, and you've got just flat ability reduction. Like this, I'm beginning to see why people are complaining, but I'm cool with it because I like Diablo, so I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to be like, all right, sounds interesting. I'm just going to nod my head.
He truly is the Lord of Terror again. But he has a new talent, Fearful Presence, which passive heroes and summons that attack Diablo have their attack speed slowed by 20% for 2.5 seconds. And you can activate it to reduce the damage dealt by nearby heroes by 30% for 3 seconds. So,
also good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd take it over the extra movement, but there may be situations. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And level 20, Bolt of the Storm removed. That one, that's worth mentioning, removal.
For sure. But do you need it anymore? Because now you can just actually just Shadow Charge in, Shadow Charge back out. I mean, Shadow Charge is the new Bolt of the Storm, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but he got
definitely worth mentioning.
a new talent, Hellgate. It's an activation, activatable. You activate it to teleport to short distance and place a demonic rune down at that location. After 1.75, the rune explodes, dealing 130% or 37 damage and stunning. So he has Bolt of the Storm still.
But it's better. Yeah.
It's a shorter distance, but they're not going to chase you. Otherwise, they're going to get stunned
Right.
and hit. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It is terrifying and it feels amazing to play him right now. Unfortunately, I do think we're going to see some nerfs incoming to
Is it
this.
so bad that you're expecting like hot fix nerfs, or are we thinking it's
No.
going to be a couple weeks?
I don't think they're going to do the hot fix nerfs just because they said they really don't want to do Zarya again.
Right.
But whenever they said that, they said hopefully. So if it gets bad enough, it could potentially happen. What I would see potentially happening instead, and this is really a shame that this is happening the start of season 3. And this probably wouldn't happen, but I could see it if it becomes too much of a problem. Them just banning Diablo from ranked play. They did that with
Just flat
Kael'thas,
out.
but that was
Yeah.
for a bug. So
Yeah, if it's not buggy, then maybe they just leave it up to us to first ban him. But it does feel bad to have really anyone in that spot where they're in almost 100% first ban, you know? So,
yeah, because if you're first pick, first ban, okay, let's not ban Diablo. Let's ban whoever the heck we want because we know they're going to ban
Right.
Diablo and we can get, the hero that we're.
and then the other team has to ban him or else they just get to deal with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's been true across the board since this all started, for sure. So,
Yeah.
but speaking of Zarya, there was a slight change to her that's actually probably pretty huge. I needed to get in there and feel it, but the particle grenade, her Q, received improvements to its cast animation, and basically the time between casting it and performing another action has been reduced. But the real answer is in the developer comments on here. They say casting Zarya's particle grenade would force her to be locked in place for a short period of time. We don't do this on other heroes, and we felt like this exception broke the fluidity of the characters. So, and yeah, when you played it, you kind of got that feel of her staggering to get the shot off and then continuing on and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I'm all for more fluidity on her because from day one of my only complaints about her was that she felt a little clunky, and this is maybe a step in the right direction away from that. So,
Yeah.
she's going to be even better in 2v2 with Ariel. Gizmo, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. So overall, it's a huge patch, and
Yeah.
you would think that this would help with rag queue times, just because everyone wants to play Trout, Rhaegar, or Dahaka or Diablo, but it's rag queues are still super long, super
Well,
long.
that's just Rag, man. People are excited to see him
It is.
for sure.
And I think if they stay 10 minutes plus for, tomorrow and on, I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm just gonna play some Diablo before he gets nerfed.
Oh,
And probably,
well, you might get some good wins
Dahaka
in,
too.
for sure.
Yeah. Let's see here. So TPK is not here to do his community content shout out this week. So you know what? I'm gonna do one.
Do it.
And I am super excited about this one. Multi, you don't have to look if you don't want to. I know yours
not
hasn't
gonna.
arrived yet.
I'm gonna avert my eyes.
But the Heroes of the Storm team sent us a little gift in the mail for this release week, and it's incredible. And if you're watching the video, I'm going to show this stuff. But if not, there's pictures on our Twitter and everything. So first off, we got a Marine, a Ragnaros Marine figure, which is awesome, and it's actually fairly large. That's completely messing with my green screen. And then, and we also got a little rag skin bundle. So we got Ragnaros there, and then this. And I had completely forgotten about this joke, the Ragnaros. It's like 6 years old or something. And
What's it come from?
I don't know if it was like a contest or like just a community member made the joke or something. But I got a box of Ragnaros cereal. It's a legit box of Ragnaros cereal. There is actually cereal in there. And on the front it
Eaten
says,
yet?
"By fiber be purged." On the
So
sides, serving size, 1 progression level, serving per container, 20. Protassium, 10 grams. Fire resistance, 150. Ingredients, core fragments, core hound leather, high fructose core syrup, heavy stone, elemental fire, obsidian oats, and alchemically modified flavors. And there's like a maze and stuff on the back. And I'm going to read the side here. So the breakfast phenomenon that's sweeping the Nexus. Ragnaros has that satisfying bone-like crunch and gritty ash texture that everyone craves. Using a proprietary blend of Legion cooking mats and sprinkled with just the right amount of arcane dust, Ragnaros is a toasty treat that never disappoints. Bowl full of buffs. Each bite of Ragnaros is infused with all of the power words, marks of the wild, and even water breathing, but maybe don't test that last one. So grab a spoon, one with an exceptionally high melting point, and taste the flames of sulfuron. However, it also says there's prizes inside, and I'm terrified to open this thing. I don't want to open it. I want to keep the box intact. I'm going to have to get like a scalpel or figure out a way. Actually,
do we know from anyone else? Like, because these have been going up on Twitter all over the place, and I've been trying to dodge them because mine's not in the mail yet, but it's spoiled now, so that's cool.
I didn't examine this enough. The top literally just comes off without removing it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, let's do this.
There is cereal in there. Legitimate cereal with the actual nutritional facts on there. And a letter that... I guess I'll read this real quick, too. Greetings, insect. Inside this puny container of flammable wood pulp, you will find a most delectable treat fit for a lord of fire. Or a Zord Lord.
Well, yes, obviously.
I've issued a command to my executors and minions that they should send you this box of circular confections to remind you of my impending domination of the Nexus. I expect you'll redeem the code found within to mercilessly inflict our will upon your enemies. As for what you do with the breakfast treats, if you find yourself awakened too soon, prepare a bowl of Ragnaros for a powerful pick-me-up with the fiery molten core that mortals crave. Grab a spoon or a lava dredger and taste the flames of sulfuron. The summoning ritual is nearly complete, heroes. Be sure to share this box and its contents with your social media followers and prepare them for my imminent arrival. Signed, Ragnaros.
It's from him himself.
It's from him.
It's amazing.
So, First off, just again, a huge thanks to the
seriously,
the Heroes team. They're amazing. And second off, I want a skin to come out of this, and it's the easiest skin in the world. You don't need to change anything except for turning his hammer into a spoon, because that's what's on the front of this box.
Yep.
And I don't know if the cereal's good. I have not tasted it yet, but you can bet your bottom it's gonna be my breakfast tomorrow.
Yeah, and mine hopefully the next day, because I am amped for this now.
Yeah, it's awesome. So again, thank you guys so much. They've been awesome in supporting not just our podcast, but all the content creators and community members for
sure.
a long time now, and it's been awesome.
A long time now, but more so lately too. It's been incredible.
Yeah,
you guys are. I'm glad we got a chance to thank a lot of you in person at BlizzCon for that, but thank you again, for sure.
Absolutely. And we do have a question here this week from listener Multi. What do we got?
All right, this is from Core Gaming, of course. Good buddy of ours, hangs out in Discord quite often. He said he just recorded his first impressions of Ragnaros, and he does do YouTube content out there, so check that out if you haven't already. Core, by the way, he spells it Korr, and it's otherwise Core Gaming, so you could search that way. Anyway, he took Sulphurous Smash because he was in a hurry, and while he can see its uses, the difference between the two heroic abilities seem like night and day. Seems like Lava Wave is much stronger, and we'll likely see it picked 75% of the time. What are your thoughts on the two heroic abilities? And we kind of touched on this earlier. I'm definitely riding the Lava Wave because it's just so cool, and the fact that you can wipe out a lane and or entire enemy team, depending on how things play out, just seems really strong. And I too, I'm with you, Gizmo, but it's because I only got to play those 2 BlizzCon games.
Uh-huh.
But when I sat down, I got to my second BlizzCon game. I was like, all right, I'm going to take the Smash. I'm going to try it out. And then I got there and I was like, you know what? No, because the other game, I destroyed the entire enemy team with Lava Wave, stacked on top of some of my other abilities while I was channeled on one of the keeps. And I just wanted to do that again. So I don't know. They seem a little off right now, but now that he's actually out, I intend to get in there and actually practice the 2. So
Yeah, and same with me. I haven't taken it yet. I actually think that if Ragnaros is seen in competitive play, that we could potentially see that on some maps. But
Right.
man, Lava Wave is just so fun, and at 20 you get 2 charges of it.
that's true. That is
Which,
true.
important to note, I made this mistake. If you cast the second charge, there's a 10-second cooldown between. If you cast the second charge while the first wave is out, it will cancel that wave. So,
And start the new one. Okay.
yes.
What if you do it in a different lane?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is unfortunate, but yeah, it's really strong. Nice to be able to clear out an entire wave to get your lane pushed out and before an objective, especially whenever they can't respond to it. One thing, I don't know if it was like this at BlizzCon. I thought to cast Lava Wave at BlizzCon, it just casts whatever lane you're in. But in this, and it may have been like this at BlizzCon, I just didn't know, you can cast it in any lane. You don't have to be there. You just cast it in that lane. You just click on that lane and it'll cast.
Oh, you select the lane.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it could have been that we were just casting in the lane we were in because that's all we knew. But
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that changed or not, but it is really nice. Just because
That is
you don't
cool.
have to rotate down or whatever to clear that wave.
for sure. To clarify though, Core, just to throw this out there too, I'm gonna stop kind of poo-pooing on, heroics that don't get taken a lot yet again, because going back to what we were talking about earlier, Thrall and Earthquake, things come back. I mean, if this is just not picked at all, like if you're correct and really is picked 25% of the time or less, Blizzard's gonna watch that, and maybe it'll be a while, but maybe we'll see a change to it that's gonna bring it up in the meta, or a nerf to Lava Wave that brings that down. I mean, these things can change, so just throwing that out there too.
For sure. But that is going to do it about for this episode.
Yeah.
Multi, why don't you go ahead and tell people where we can be reached at?
Oh, I certainly will. We can be found in game, actually. If you type /join space LOTS for our in-game channel, find some games with us on there. I'll be on there quite a bit because I want to get Rag up there as quick as I can. So hop in there. We'll do some quick match. You can help shorten my queue time. That'd be cool. Thanks. I appreciate it, guys. No, but seriously, it'll be a good time. I'll switch if you really want to try them, I guess. But anyway, we also have a Discord link, which is sticky to the top of our Twitter. It's on our show notes, that sort of thing. It is where people can get in and chat with us about this game, other games, life, just complain about things in the Salt channel, whatever. So hop in there, check us out. We're also on Twitter at Lords of the Storm. We're on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm. Live Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. We're on facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can send us emails with feedback or questions at lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help out the show, there's a couple ways to do it. One would be to leave positive reviews out there, 5-star iTunes or positive Stitcher, that sort of thing. But if you really like what you're hearing, want to help out the show just in general, continue to grow, we do have our Patreon at patreon.com/Lords of the Storm. And we appreciate everyone on there, absolutely, for any amount that you can give. Just whatever you deem appropriate if you like what you hear. And just want to maybe get a Zord title, That's an option for you.
And another thing I want to mention about the Patreon, if you are in a tier where you get yourself some swag, we will be ordering our next round of that stuff. So if you haven't gotten it yet, I've tried sending you a message through Patreon. But just in case you haven't seen that, we will be sending that stuff out here before too long.
See, the problem is we had this guy move to Florida, and it's
makes
just gotten
things
harder
difficult.
to sign things, but we're working on it. There are ways.
But you can also find us individually. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Gizmozord. And occasionally on Convert to Raid Presents. the BattleNet News, all about Blizzard things, heavy on the World of Warcraft. But touching on everything, always a good show, always a good time with Pat Crane and the crew. Multi, where can you be reached?
You know, it was originally a World of Warcraft podcast, so I don't think anyone holds it against you to lean heavily on WoW. Also, Legion's still kind of the hotness right now, so
It is.
I'm cool with it. I listen to it for WoW more than anything, frankly. So, but otherwise, yeah, I'm on Twitter at Multizord, and I'm on another show called The Cavalry, which is about Overwatch, and just celebrated its 50th episode this week. Went up today. So we actually had one of our original hosts of the show, Travis, also known as BSTS, a good real-life friend of both mine and Tank Zord's, joined the three of us regulars on there and just kind of talked about the history of the show and where it's moving forward, which, by the way, live is the direction and it's moving. We're trying to settle on times and that sort of thing, but that's going to be on twitch.tv/The Cavalry Show. And it's on Twitter at The Cavalry Show. So stuff to look forward to there for sure.
Absolutely. And you can reach TBK on Twitter at TBKSword and Twitch as well, where I believe Chair League is concluded for now, but Season 5 it will be starting up soon, where he'll be casting on there with his partner, Throne Gauntlet. So make sure you check out his stuff there. We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Mr. Ouroboros Zord, for helping support the show. We really do appreciate it. Until next time, we will see you guys next week. By fiber, be purged. See ya.
Too soon to say, Giddis. Too soon.